Alright people, what is happening? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2021 My Team series here on the channel. Today is the Brazilian Grand Prix in Sao Paulo, the second to last race of the season. Boys, it is almost time for the season finale and the end of season 4 of the My Team series. Jumping across to the standings, if you did miss the last episode, we took the lead of the drivers' standings. We've already won the Constructors' Championship 2 races ago, I think that was, but we took the lead last race in, where was it? Mexico, after Lewis DNF'd in Mexico. We've got very lucky. The last 3 races, Lewis has had 2 DNFs and a P8, while we had obviously 2 P1s and a P2 in Mexico. So we've now taken the lead of this drivers' championship. Very lucky indeed, but we have to fit some new parts onto our car this race, so hopefully these parts don't fail. I've been holding out changing the engine components because of course as soon as you change to a new component you run the risk of that component failing. But we had to do it. So second to last race of the season. We're currently 20 something points ahead of Lewis, I want to say, so we could afford to DNF this race and still be level on points going into the last race of the season. I think that's the way the maths works out. I'm not too sure, didn't do the maths when we looked at the standings then, but getting into qualifying for the Brazilian GP, of course, as you can see now, jumping straight into Q1. We will jump to the end of Q1. And as you can see, we do finish P9 in Q1. Not the best lap from us at all. 9/10 off the leader, Max Verstappen there. The usual suspects going out in the bottom 6. Is it 6 or 5 that go out in career mode? I can't even remember now. But jumping into Q2, obviously showing in Q1, we didn't really have to pace around this track this weekend. But we set a new lap there on medium tyres. It's only good enough for P11 on the medium tyres. We, of course, need to be in the top 10 to get through to Q3. So we're going back onto the soft tyres, changing the strategy up. It looks like Hamilton in P10 on the soft tyres as well. Not sure if anyone is trying to qualify on those mediums, but getting into our lap now. We have Pierre Gasly in front of us. Hopefully he doesn't mess up our lap. Maybe we can get a bit of a slipstream as we go green in the Delta, as we head down the hill through turn 1 and 2. Down the straight, now the first DRS zone. Pierre Gasly pulling a bit ahead of us, and hopefully we can get past this guy if we need to, and hopefully he doesn't hold us up in the corners in our qualifying lap here. As you can see, we're currently 2.5 tenths nearly, or we've lost a bit of time through there, 2 tenths up on the Delta. Hopefully we can make it into that top 10 to make it through to the shootout in Q3. Hamilton now out on the medium tyres in P10, trying to qualify on mediums, but obviously P10, that is cutting it very fine indeed, so he needs to improve on his time. We're 5 tenths up on our time now. Pierre Gasly still in front of us, maybe costing us a bit of time, understeering a little through that final corner, but getting on the throttle now, complete straight line, or completely flat out I should say, round the bend, hitting the DRS zone, taking the shortest run to the line, hugging the wall there, and crossing the line 8 tenths quicker. It's good enough for P7, but only P7. Are we going to be able to hold on into that top 10 as we have a snap of oversteer coming through turn 1, which has messed up our chances of going again? And we do make it through. In P8, Lewis Hamilton goes fastest on the soft tyres. Max Verstappen, the only man making it through on medium tyres to Q3. He will start the race on mediums. Alternate strategy to the rest of the grid. Hopefully we can have a bit more pace here in Q3, because P8 is not good enough. If we qualify P8 here, that will not be a very good starting position, especially when we're in a title fight with Lewis Hamilton. We need all the places we can get, all the points we can get at this point in the season. We've only 2 races left. It's going to come right down to the wire this season, boys. Make sure you stay tuned for the final race of the season, and of course stay to the end of this video to see the race in this video, but make sure you stay tuned for the next episode. It will be the final race of the season in Jeddah. It's going to be a good one. But in our quali lap now, we don't have a delta to go off, so I don't know if we're improving on our time or setting a decent lap here. Hamilton takes provisional pole on with 9 minutes left to go in this Q3 session. Hamilton sticking his car on provisional pole, and we are of course ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the driver standings now, like I do say. So even if we do lose a few points to Lewis here, as long as we can stay within 1 position of him on the grid, that would be very nice indeed. But can we take that provisional pole away from him? I think Max Verstappen has just took it. Can we do it? We're hitting that DRS zone, taking the short run to the line. It didn't look like a very smooth lap, but what can we do? Where can we put our car? It's good enough for P2, faster than Lewis Hamilton, but there are still 8 minutes left in this session. Hamilton could possibly go again and improve on that lap as we can't on that next push lap. And at the end of qualifying, we do get P2 on the grid, Lewis Hamilton in P5. Of course, we do have to take a grid penalty though. Remember, we changed 2 engine components, or 1 engine component and our gearbox. So let's see the final grid standards and where we do start.
Welcome along then to the place where heroes and history are made. It's where the 2008 title was decided in the final corner. And it's the place, a year later, that Jenson Button stormed through from 14th on the grid to claim his one and only Drivers' Championship. It's Interlagos, and it's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil. It's a 2.7-mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if, of course, the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Aitken, Russell, Christian Lundgaard, and Sainz. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Stroll, the owner driver, they've taken a grid penalty, and Callum Islet, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Lando Norris, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Leclerc, Mick Schumacher, Tigtum, Fernando Alonso, and Sebastian Vettel, Joe, Latifi, Mazepin, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So Verstappen actually starting all the way from the back of the grid there. He must have took a massive engine penalty there, changed his whole engine or something like that. So we're getting into this race now, going with the one-stop strategy with the soft into hard on lap 13. We start P9 on the grid after our grid penalty. Lewis Hamilton is on the front row, so our teammates way off ahead in the distance. We're off to a decent start here. Lights out in Brazil. Lance Stroll off to a good start in the Aston Martin. To our left, Yuki Tsunoda, the McLaren in front. We get blocked off by those 2 cars we just mentioned as Callum Islet goes up the inside. We have to take evasive action around the outside there of Yuki Tsunoda. Almost a big crash. Callum Islet flying up from P10 up to P7. Shot down the inside there of Yuki Tsunoda and Lance Stroll. We got blocked off by the McLaren, even though we had a lot more pace going into turn 1 than the McLaren of Yuki Tsunoda. Callum Islet now caught up to that pack in front. There are a few slow cars ahead. You can see Pierre Gasly and Jack Aitken in the AlphaTauri. Almost a collision there to the back of Callum Islet. But the 2 AlphaTauris in P2 and P3. Then a Williams of George Russell and an Alpine of Christian Lundgaard. There's that replay there of nearly smashing into the back of Callum Islet as we go up the inside. Islet carries a lot more speed round the outside there. Me and Islet obviously showing our pace. We saw last time out in Mexico that Red Bull do have a good car, like that's good enough to fight with our car. We've hardly had any challenge from any other team this season, but Red Bull now towards the end of the season definitely showing that they can fight with us. But me and Islet clearly showing our pace compared to the cars in front. Hopefully both of us can dispose of these guys as quickly as possible and try and catch up to our teammate Lewis Hamilton, who's in P1, just at the fastest lap of the race, and he's going to be pulling away and setting a massive lead, because I don't think Pierre Gasly in an AlphaTauri is going to be threatening him too much as we come through turn 1 now, very late on the brakes, again right on the gearbox of Islet, waiting for that DRS to get activated at the end of the second lap to make that overtaking just a bit easier. We're in a massive slipstream train here, and we send one up the inside of Callum Islet from way downtown. What a move that is, late on the brakes up the inside. Max Verstappen-esque trying to overtake at that corner there. but this time nobody went off the track. Yeah, we stayed on the track. Great overtake from us to get past Ilot, the man who was going to be the biggest threat in front of us. Now we're battling with Carlos Sainz up the inside. We're trying to stick our nose alongside Carlos, so we have to give us some space, but Carlos with the better traction out of that corner there. I thought we were about to fly into the side and then from that camera angle, but great racing so far this race here in Brazil. We're only 2 laps in as well, and it's been an absolutely great start to the race, trying to recover from that grid penalty, of course, that saw us P9 on the grid. We're up to P7, and now we have a slipstream on Carlos Sainz. We're going to pull out. We set a purple sector 3 there at the end, late on the brakes down to turn 1, using that inside curb to rotate the car, and the curb on turn 2 to rotate the car very nicely indeed down the hill. Now we have DRS activated. We're in the slipstream of Christian Lundgaard. Going to set up a move, make him cover the inside, and we're going to go around the outside, late on the brakes again, giving Lundgaard space up the inside. Who's going to come out at the top here? It's going to be us. We're up into P5. George Russell in the Williams, the next car ahead that we're trying to battle against. Lundgaard in that Alpine now. You can see already the gap starting to form between me and the Alpine car behind. Callum Ilott has not been able to get past the Alpine yet, but we go purple through sector 1, showing the pace on these soft tyres. George Russell, the man in front, probably going to have to stay behind him until the DRS zone down the back straight. Not many chances to overtake really through sector 2 definitely of this Brazil circuit. Mainly the main overtake position is down into turn 1. And there we hit the DRS line. We're using a lot of our battery charge to try and get past Russell in the slipstream. We probably didn't even need DRS to get past Russell here. He stays to the inside, using our straight line speed round the outside. Purple sector 3 and a purple sector 1, but we don't set fastest lap. George Russell still there though, up the inside. He had DRS on Jack Aitken. Russell's still there. He's keeping his nose up the inside. We're giving him space so there's no contact. Hitting that DRS point though, and now Russell does tuck him behind as he's yielded that fight to try and get past us. He was never going to get past us anyway. I wouldn't have let that happen. But up into P4 from P9 on the grid. Great start after 4 laps here in this Brazilian GP, and just look at the speed that we're carrying compared to Jack Aitken in front in that AlphaTauri car. Just showing how poor that AlphaTauri car actually is. At the end of the lap now, we've seen this script before, hitting that DRS zone. The rear wing is open, reducing drag on the car. Aitken, nobody in front to give him DRS. We're in the slipstream. Can we tuck into that slipstream and pull out right into the braking zone up the inside through turn 1? Great overtake manoeuvre again up into P3. We're in the podium spots now. Pierre Gasly 3.3 seconds ahead in P2, but Lewis Hamilton 6 seconds ahead in P1. Now down to lap 13. The clouds have disappeared. The sun has come out. Track temperature heating up a little bit, so tyre temperature, you can see our front right there, 107 degrees. It's in the yellow. It's not a very nice temperature to see. Going to be tough for grip. Pierre Gasly into the pits though. He was 3 seconds ahead of us. Lewis Hamilton extended his gap to 12 seconds ahead, and we of course have not stopped yet. Nobody has came in for a pit stop yet. We are going for that one-stop strategy. Pierre Gasly boxing early on lap 14 there. He's getting out the way. Let's see if the overcut does work though compared to Pierre Gasly's undercut. I wonder if Pierre is going for a 2-stop or not. Will be interesting to see what tyres Pierre went on to. Now Lewis comes into the pits again. Be interesting to see what tyres Lewis comes out on, what sort of strategy he's running, whether it's the 1 or the 2-stop strategy. I was tempted myself to go for the 2-stop strategy, but we did end up choosing the 1-stop at the start. Lewis comes out on the hard tyres. Remember, we did set our tyres to be hard, but Jeff got on the radio and said new strategy option, we can go to the mediums if we extend this soft stint a few laps, which was going to be hard. I think we were meant to come in on lap 14 ourselves for hard tyres, but we're extending the stint a little bit on these soft tyres. Like I say, it is going to be hard. Overheating now because the sun is out, track temperature up, but also because we pushed the tyres so hard through those first few laps to try and make up those places, which we have done. Pierre Gasly still in P3. He's on the hard tyres, one-stop strategy of course. We come into the pits, and as we do, George Russell out of the session. This could be a massive moment if that brings out a safety car, because we are basically getting a free pit stop here if that is the case. But George Russell, it looks like engine failure and not a crash. He pulls over to the side, and they should be able to get that car out the way very easily without a safety car, which they do, spoiler alert. But we pull into the pits now. Can we have a good stop? Can we come out ahead of Pierre Gasly? It's a good stop, 2.3 seconds. Pierre Gasly coming through turn 1 now. We've just seen his car go past, just seen his little head over the barrier, but we are going to come out still in P3. So a great drive from us, up from P9 into P3, and then we set good enough lap times to stay in P3 as we did come out of the pits there. Pierre Gasly still 3 seconds ahead, so the undercut and overcut hasn't really made any difference. But Pierre is on older hard tyres. We're on brand new fresh mediums, have not set a single lap on these medium tyres yet. So once these mediums kick into life, we should be setting some fast laps, and already we're bringing the gap down. It was 3.3 seconds, it's now 2.7 as we head around the left hander here. There, of course, is the yellow flag for George Russell's car getting in the way there. But it shouldn't be too long until we catch up to Pierre Gasly, and that is promising. Of course, our car is a lot faster than that AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly, but just showing the tyre difference as well between the mediums and the hards is interesting to see. Can we catch Lewis Hamilton? We've got a lot of laps left in this race still, but 14 seconds ahead, that is a big gap to our teammate, especially when he set the fastest lap of the race. He's got the pace around Brazil, you know, I mean, even though he didn't show it in qualifying, really, he's showing it in the race here. I feel like our car's a lot better for the race rather than qualifying. We haven't really, I mean, what, we've set like 4 pole positions, I think, ourselves this year, this season, even though we've had the best car by a mile. But then in the race, we definitely do a lot better than we do perform in qualifying. And again, bringing that gap down to Pierre. We've brought the gap from 14 to 13 seconds on Lewis. Now we are within 1 second, hitting that DRS point and down the back straight. We've got DRS on Pierre Gasly. It won't be long before we make a move on him. Red sector 1, but still fastest lap of the race as we go green. 2 personal best sectors through sector 2 and sector 3. Even with that red sector 1, this shouldn't be a red sector 1. We have DRS on Pierre Gasly in the slipstream using our battery as well. Can we send one from way downtown again like we did on Callum Ilott? No, we can't. A bit too far back. Like I said, it's not going to be a red sector 1. It's a purple. That is the fastest sector 1 of anyone on the circuit so far. Hopefully Pierre doesn't mess up our lap here as we go around the outside, trying to just find some space to get past Pierre. Like I say, we're going for a fast lap here. I want to take that fastest lap point away from any chance of Lewis Hamilton getting it. He's on hard tyres as well, so I wouldn't think that he has any pace towards the end of the race. Unless something crazy happens, you know, you never know. It's not over until the checkered flag falls, as they say. But we've managed to stay behind Gasly. Red sector 2, obviously following in that dirty air of Pierre Gasly's car. Messes up a little through sector 2, but not many chances to overtake. Ask Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon. Not many chances to overtake through sector 2, and if you go for one, there's a high chance of contact. There we go, crossing the line. It's not a good lap, 8/10 slower. Gasly up the inside though. We have to take the outside line over the curb through turn 2. Who's going to come out ahead here? This is a great fight between me and Pierre Gasly. Into the DRS zone. Our rear wing opens. I'm not sure if it does actually. Yes, it does. Pierre Gasly does not have DRS. Who's going to have the straight line speed up the inside there? Pierre Gasly goes. No contact from the 2 cars. Great racing from me and Pierre, and it looks like we are ahead down to this next corner now. It's still wheel to wheel between me and Pierre Gasly. What a race this is from me and the AlphaTauri man. But it looks like we are just edging ahead ever so slightly, and as soon as we settle into this left-hander now, you can see we are ahead of Pierre Gasly. But that was a great fight between me and Pierre. He's definitely showing that he might deserve a drive with the team next season. That is a potential candidate right there for teammate. But coming through now the final corner, now is our first time to try and defend against the car who has DRS on us. Pierre Gasly, he's going to have DRS down this straight, or does he? I don't actually know if he does, but we've pulled to the 1 second gap. I think we got the 1 second gap right before DRS detection zone, so Gasly didn't actually get that DRS, and now coming through turn 2, a bit of a slide there coming through down the hill. Both Gasly falling back into that 1 point something second range, and now a few laps later, as you can see, he's 4 seconds behind. Lewis only 11 seconds ahead. We've still got 9 laps left here in the race. Can we make up 11 seconds? Somebody has took the fastest lap away from us. Not sure who it is at this moment in time, but Callum Ilott is out of the session. There is the Red Bull man we were battling with at the start. He took an engine penalty as well, Callum Ilott, so it's unfortunate for him that whatever he's done has resulted in a DNF still. Red Bull powertrains, obviously controversial if you saw the Bahrain GP last weekend, and even this weekend in Saudi, or as I'm recording this, it was the Saudi GP with Yuki Tsunoda retiring. Red Bull need to sort those powertrains out in real life and in our game. But Lewis Hamilton takes the checkered flag here in Brazil. A great drive from us. We're going to come across the line in P2 and get up on that podium. Pierre Gasly finishes 3 seconds behind us in P3. Great drive from Pierre Gasly. Very impressed with his drive in this race, to be fair. We pulled away from him, but he managed to pull back himself towards the end of the race. Max Verstappen getting driver of the day. He started from P22 on the grid, and I believe he finished P4 with fastest lap of the race. So huge effort from Max there to do that. And let's check out the driver standings. After this race, we finished in P2, Hamilton in P1. That is a difference of... How many points is the difference between P1 and P2? It's 7, isn't it? I think it's 25 for P1 and 18 for P2, I want to say. We'll have to find out once we see the standings, and then we can see fully the gap between me and Lewis. There's one race left in this season, remember, boys. We've got Jeddah in the next race. And then that is it for Season 4. The Drivers' Championship will be decided in Jeddah. Last race of the season. It's right down to the wire. I said it from the start of the season. It looked like Lewis was running ahead with this championship, but a bit of luck went our way. He's had 3 DNFs this season, Lewis, I do believe, and he's had 2 finishes in low points. And we've had a podium in every race apart from Silverstone, where we did DNF. Verstappen P4 with fastest lap, crazy drive from him. Yeah, we do take 18 points there for P2. Up from P9 on the grid, great damage limitation. Maybe if we started on P2 on the grid like we were meant to, or it would have been pole actually, because Verstappen took the grid penalty. Obviously in quali we came P2. We would have started pole, maybe converted that into a race win, maybe secured the Drivers' Championship here. I think that might have been the maths, but we had to take that grid penalty to take the engine, and hopefully the engine doesn't fail us in Jeddah. The gap to Lewis Hamilton is 18 points. 18 points, boys. That means in Jeddah, the final race of the season, all we have to do is score 9 points, and we are guaranteed, no matter what Lewis does, if he wins the race with fastest lap, all we have to do is score 9 points and we do win the Drivers' Championship. We've already won the Constructors. Sasuke Racing is a Constructors champion in Formula 1. But to win the Drivers' Championship, which is what we really want to see, we brought in Lewis so we could win his 8th Drivers' Championship. He's won 7. I wanted him to win an 8th, but then I decided, you know what? We're going to take it to Lewis this season. We're going to try and win it ourselves. 8 points is all we need, or 9 points is all we need in the Jeddah GP to win the Drivers' Championship. Can we get that? Will we see an engine failure with these new components in the car? Find out next time, boys, in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix episode. You don't want to miss it. Season 4 finale. It's going to be explosive, let me tell you that. Well, I shouldn't say that, actually. That was not meant. That was not meant. But, I mean, if you watch the race this weekend, yeah, okay, let's not talk about that. I'll see you in the next episode, boys. Take it easy. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I forgot to mention that, but you know the vibes by now. Take it easy.